Team Bliss up against Ground Zero. Neither Skimmy nor Fighter wanted to coin it as the game of, the hypest matchup that we will have for the regular split. I'm going to say it though. I genuinely think this is going to be it. This is going to be a lot of fun, and it's the last game that we're going to be seeing on the 14.1B patch as well. So still a lot of room for experimenting. Maybe some, meta, the double support item abuse that we might see for the last time as well here for the LCO. But let's start talking about the rosters so we can eventually get to the game. We're going to start off with Ground Zero Skimmy. A lot of familiar faces, even if you are just tuning in for the first time at LCO this week.
That's right, yep. A lot of these players have either been around in the scene for a fair bit, either winning championships or they've done so well they've actually been able to go overseas to showcase their skills in, say, America or even abroad in Europe. So, likes of Tien comes back home, shows that he still is that classic carry top laner. He can definitely throw in a few tanks when called upon, but certainly wants to be the star of the show when allowed to be. Shern 5, very explosive jungler. Expect to see him on things like the Jarvan, the Xin. The Vi, for example, Lee Sin perhaps as well, diving bot lane. Kisei has been arguably the best mid laner for a number of years right now, and obviously has a little bit more competition with the likes of Haver and Ryoma returning. And even his series up against that particular matchup was giving him a run for his money, but just wasn't enough, wasn't strong enough. You can see him here popping off in the Corki. But the team as a whole feels certainly behind. And I think you had a bit of a lackluster performance out of Tien in particular. Kind of got messed around by this Udyr that Fido was mentioning. Even with the first pick on Rumble, allowing the Udyr to go through, they thought that was going to be enough. Still lost lane pretty handily. And obviously the bot lane pairing of Limus and Benvi, they've been around on multiple teams together. They'll be looking to try and stay as strong and true as they can into the match of Violet and Scott. So should be an exciting one there, Fido.
Oh, 100%. And we've got Team Bliss playing up against them. We've got Biopanther as just one of the most seasoned veterans in our league. He's been around for so long and he's always been at the top. I can't remember him playing on any low teams. So he's got the experience, he's got the veterancy, he's got the voice for the team. We got Why Not, very explosive jungler. Does a lot of cheesy stuff, picks a lot of random champion, gets in your face, tries to catch off really unexpected timings, and very difficult to play against as a jungler. Of course, Harry returning from a stint in North America. Very skilled individual as well, probably one of the best to match up against Kisei. So that's the matchup that I'll be looking at the most in this game. And then Violet had that breakout performance, one split, and has been consistent ever since. Probably the best solo queue player we have in our region. Nothing to complain about him, does an FF vote, tries to win every single game. A model citizen of Oceania.
Do you feel, Fido, that Team Bliss have, been in that tested realm just yet? Because we saw Ground Zero have to go up against Antic and they really got tested. There were a lot of moments where they were winning lane but ultimately didn't win that best of two. They weren't even able to win a game in it. But Team Bliss was seeing right here up against Mammoth last week, there was never really a question around, is this team going to be winning this game once it came out of the laning phase? So do you feel they have entered the realm of being tested, or is this going to be the first time this split that we see them finally have a lot of questions be answered?
Yeah, I think this is the big test for them. We'll see how they perform, but the biggest advantage they have, right, is Coach Calvin and Coach Poltron, which I'd say are probably two of the best minds in our region, combined together, working as one. So that should give us some of the best macro we've got in the league. And yeah, that's probably their advantage when it comes to versing Ground Zero.
Awesome. I love it. We might not know directly the impact of those coaches, but I'm sure you both will be able to point it out either during the game or when we break it down after it does happen. But let's focus a little bit more on that mid lane. We've already talked about it. Kisei was able to stand his ground last week. When they were versing Antic. Unfortunately, like we keep saying, wasn't able to close out the game, but he did phenomenal. And now coming up against Havery, returning from overseas, Skim. These are some of the stats between the two of them in the last 2-3 weeks of LCO.
Yeah, as you can see here, both phenomenal players in their own right. I mean, champion pools aren't going to be that much of a concern. Both can certainly play the 80 carries like the Tristana if called upon. They can flex into the control mages like your Orianna. Azir, and it can certainly be explosive with your sort of assassins like LeBlanc and even Akali. So I don't think champion pool is going to be that much of an issue. Major crossover in that regard. I think the big standout thing for me is their damage per minute. They're both, top 3 in their role, even top 3 in the entire league. So they're definitely going to command those resources in terms of gold and sort of wanting to be quite kill hungry, knowing that, hey, I have an item advantage on 1.5, for instance, over my opponent. Let's make something happen. So I'm really curious to sort of see how either can look to try and influence this game to work in their favor, because we've seen sort of 1v9 performances from either of these players in the past. But going up against each other, knowing that this is the only game for tonight, in a best of 2, mind you, I'm curious to see how much they're willing to reveal, because there's certainly been times in the past where these top teams have been quite keen, despite it being very early days, to kind of conceal stuff, saying that, you know, we'll wait until the best of 3s, best of 5s, and suddenly we go like, hey, here's our trap card, you didn't expect this, and yeah, kind of get caught off guard, so should be good.
Yeah, I wish we had more time to talk about that mid lane matchup, but we can circle back around to it because right now we do have a player joining us for an interview. We've got Benby here. We're going to get to ask him some questions. Benby, hello, how are you feeling for such a big matchup today?
Hi guys, I'm feeling good. It's good to see a fighter on the cast. I love that.
Oh, well, you know,
Awesome, man.
I was going to say fighter, I'll just let you go though. You and Benby can have a little bit of a chat.
Yeah, look, we're here together, not as players, but still reunited. I can still hype you up and give you some energy in game. I guess going into this game, what are your expectations? Do you think you're the better team? Do you think this is sort of a growing period for Ground Zero? What's been the biggest challenge in the team so far?
Yeah, 100%. I think we learned a lot last week. Like, the games were really close and we threw at the finish line, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. I think our early game is always really good. I think that's always been a strength of Limus and I as a duo especially. So it's more about just being able to close out those games that are sort of in our control, and I think we learned a ton. So whether we win or lose, playoffs is the end goal, so we'll get a lot out of it hopefully.
Okay, and what about if you guys obviously have different ways of playing the game, right? Every player has found success in his own right. So who would you say, like, if there's one style, you know, Shermfire style, Benvy's style, maybe Tien's style, like which style are you guys more leaning to playing the game as a team?
I think right now we're just sort of exploring everything and finding what works best because we have some time. If we do need to narrow it down later on, we can. Otherwise, yeah, we're just exploring stuff right now.
Awesome.
I want to ask a little bit more on like those learnings that you guys had from the loss last week, because you know, unfortunately we don't get to talk to you guys after that. But what do you say was the biggest issue as to why you couldn't close those games out?
Yeah, 100%. I think the way we interacted with our side lanes needed a lot of work, and that's something we focused on this week coming into the games. So just integrating how we play side lanes is probably the biggest thing.
Yep. And would you also say that over on Ground Zero, you guys are a team that you bounce back, like your energy, you don't really let that O2 hold you back too much?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's second game of the regular split, so like, it's not a big deal really. It's better it happens now than in a playoff, so.
That's true. That is a great way to look at it. Benby, thank you so much for joining us and good luck today.
No worries, pleasure as always. See ya.
See ya. Aw, that's so sweet.
Oh,
So, you know, yeah, sometimes I worry. I'm like, how much does going 0-2 in a best of 2 hit a team? But he's so right, you know, rather now in week 2 of the regular split than all the way when we get to week 7, week 8 in playoffs.
It's a pretty good way to view it, honestly, knowing that we've put the sort of self-imposed pressure on it being this matchup that could be decided for head-to-heads and yada yada yada. Ultimately thinking, you know what, it's week 2, it is what it is, strength of schedule, sure, yada yada yada, it's not been in our favor. Look, obviously we smashed it in the early game. We just need to try and figure out a way. I would have loved to have asked him, though, you know, going up against Bliss, who obviously very, very strong in the early game as well, does that change your approach to this one? Because I feel like if they don't win in the early game, then what happens? Like, if you can't win the late, then how do you win the early? I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting one to see the draft.
God, I wish I'd asked you to ask me. You know what?
Next time.
That's on me. That's on me. You can reword it if they win a game or when, depending if you're a Ground Zero fan or not. Then maybe you could ask him that, a question in the post game.
Get me in the lobby. I'm asking in general chat right now.
Oh, true. I just got to all chat it. Just be like, oh, Benby, forgot to ask me. If
hey,
you could
mate,
answer this extra question.
Announce this to everyone here. Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would definitely be a different sort of interview if we did it that way. I liked your question, Fido, as well about the playstyle that you wanted to know where Ground Zero was leaning, if it was a certain player or not. When you look from the outside, do you see them leaning a certain way, or do you resonate with Benby's answer of right now they're actually still trying to figure it out and they're doing a mix of playstyles?
Well, I'm going to say it's definitely not the Tien's way right now because Tien... No, but for real though, like if it was Tien's system, he would be doing really well, right? Like if you're running your own system, generally you know what's happening around the map, you don't make mistakes. And but I think the biggest thing to take away from that interview that we had is the fact that he identified, okay, like our issue wasn't that we just threw guys, we had a bad day, you know, like some bullshit excuse. He just said, okay, outside the way that we interact with side lanes was wrong.
Yeah.
That's like, that means that they sat down together and they actually went into the details and figured out what was going wrong. So I'm pretty optimistic for their performance today.
Perfect. Well, we do have our second interview here as well. We'll see if they have just as much insight. We got Scott, got him during the middle of a drink there. How are you feeling for your matchup against Ground Zero today?
Cheers, mate.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm trying to be hydrated. I'm ready.
It's important to stay hydrated.
It is. Skim, because I didn't ask you last interview, you can start off if you have any questions for Scott.
Oh, what an honor. What an absolute honor. Scott, mate, welcome back. Well, tell me a little bit about this bot lane. Also, we know that Violet's an obvious superstar, and he's brought in so many different supports over the years, either role swaps or players that are only just getting into competitive. How did you manage to convince him to play Seraphine center? Because we don't see him ever play AP champions.
No, I'm telling you, man, I don't have to convince like Violet or Vincent to do anything. Like, he'll just do what it takes to win. I don't know what like the previous like conception of him was, but no, that version of Vincent is not the version of Vincent I know. So
sick. He just wants those dubs.
Just wants the dubs and personal growth. We keep the narrative that, you know, a lot of people think Ground Zero, Team Bliss, they're going to be the top 2 teams coming out of the regular split. But do you on Team Bliss see Ground Zero as your biggest opponent, as the biggest threat when it comes to the orgs in the league?
I mean, I guess, yeah, Ground Zero and Antic, I'd say, are like the other 2 teams that I'm looking out for. But like, that doesn't mean that we don't give respect to other teams we first, right? Whether we're versing like Mammoth or Direwolves, like, they're still really good teams. So yeah, I just respect every team in the league, honestly.
Yeah. Is there any specific lane in Ground Zero that you guys or role that you guys are like, oh, we have to be really cautious of how they play and if they're going to dismantle our play style?
Obviously, I'm not gonna tell our like plans, but in my mind, I think I know. I have a pretty good idea of how Ground Zero play. You know, this and that. But yeah, I think I have a pretty good idea, and I'm pretty sure Ground Zero have a pretty good idea of how we play as well. Like, they were our like practice partners like a lot, like before the season. So, I think it'll just be a fun match. Honestly, I'm just ready to get in there.
Perfect. And Fighter, do you have a question as well?
I guess what's your you've obviously just recently switched to support, right? So what are you enjoying? I see you playing a lot of, you know, the Pikes in solo queue, the Rakans. Is that you're more comfortable on, the engaged sort of the playmaking champs, or are you happy to play the enchanters as well?
No, I think my pool is like bigger than what people think. Like I roll swapped like pretty recently, right? But I think I'm really comfortable on like both engaged and like ranged. So, and I'm learning a lot from the team right now. Like obviously I'm just coming in fresh from solo queue, right? First time like getting into like a really competitive environment, so now I'm just learning a lot, absorbing everything, and I feel like I'm improving really fast. So like I'm comfortable in like most things right now.
Awesome. Hope we get to see you know, different sides of you today.
Yeah, same. I want to pick some fun stuff today.
Hey, well, we're looking for a fun series. Hopefully you guys have some fun in the series as well. But Scott, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, and thank you for joining us, and good luck today.
Oh, good luck to you guys on the cast.
Thank you. I don't know why I said thank you like I'm casting.
You know what that reminds me of? It's like, you know when like somebody gives you an order and it's like...
oh, like, enjoy your meal. And it's
enjoy
like,
your meal, and you're like, yeah, you too. And you're like, I hate myself. Oh, I am cringe. I am dying. I'm...
Oh, no. I love the meme where it's just like, you too, and then they sit down and start enjoying the meal with you.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like dad jokes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I should have done. I should be like, you too. And Scott's like, me too. And then he just joins the cast. That's a good setup. Anyway, we got side select here.
Finger guns.
It was nice. It was nice to hear from Scott and everything about his how he wants to have some fun with this. They're both going for blue side though, so even though they want some fun, there's obviously still that aura of seriousness. They want the blue side. They want what we feel is the broken side right here. So it's going to start off with Ground Zero having blue side, and then it is going to be moving to Bliss having blue side. And you guys in Twitch chat, you need to put in your predictions. We want to have you guys share your viewpoints on who you think is going to be winning game number 1. So put those points in chat. It's above. It's right at the top. It's the top of the chat in the right-hand side of the screen.
Yes,
By the way,
I
yes,
understood
Badago.
that. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
host
So if
person.
you're chatting, just look up and you will see it. And if you look at his Skimmy space, go diagonally to the right and you will see it. I think that's 2 good measures. Yeah.
Over there.
Over there. Over there. But for now,
Somewhere.
our predictions here. Twitch chat pulling ahead. They've got 6 correct predictions at the moment. I myself, along with Fido, have 5. And we've both gone for the same thing. We've gone for the draw. 1 ground 0, 1 Bliss. But Skimmy, you've still got faith in the 2-0 meta here at LCO. And you think Bliss
Yes.
is going to 2-0 sweep it. Really?
Yep, it's my way back into it. I've already seen the future, and it involves Biopanther killing them with kindness. He's going to smile so bright, it's going to act as a beacon. Gank me, Schoenfire's like, must go to the Colgate model, goes to the top lane. Oh no, I've lost to the Udyr, 1v3 top lane dive. And then they just win the series.
Hey, they might
GG.
fall into that trap. They might not. Let's see, though, if Udyr is going to be picked up or if it's going to be an insta-ban because Champ Select for game number 1 is ready.
And it certainly is. So let's load this one in, Fighto. I am so excited to see these 2 absolute titans take to the Rift as 10 all-star players look to showcase who is the better team only, 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah, game of the day, game of the week. Here we go, Skimmy. We got an early Milio ban from Ground Zero. Very interesting. Not taking the Lucian approach that other teams go for. They decide to ban out the Milio, the Ori as well. So that's kind of the Nocturne out of the window, unless they want to go Nocturne Nico, I suppose. And we'll see what they're eyeing for first pick. We've got Xin Zhao. The patch notes for 14.3 have just been released, and Trundle is getting nerfed. So potentially Trundle is a new champion that's on the horizon that might be prioritized by these teams as well.
Yeah, it's always interesting, isn't it, when like competitive is mismatched with the live patch and players start to try stuff that's working on live, give it a go in scrims and go, hang on a minute, this game's actually kind of good, and then realize a little bit late that like 5 AD being shaved off, it's actually not that big of a deal. It's always an interesting case when that sort of crossover occurs. But either way, let's see what they do view as a first pick priority. There was a consideration for Corki, but ultimately they say, you know what? First pick me Maokai.
Maokai. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting pick. It can definitely be a flex as well, right? Benvi loves his melee supports. Could put it down in the bot lane if they need it. But yeah, that's an unusual first pick because Maokai does have some poor matchups, right? And it also tunnels your mid into being an AD champion. We'll see what Bliss answer with. They're considering Lucian. Yep, it's locked in. The Lucian. Do we have any good Lucian pairings? We do have the Nami still open. The Milio's gone. So we'll see if they care enough about it to lock it in here and show both of the bot laners.
Would you say there's anything else as strong as the Milio Lucian and the Milio Nami? Rather the Lucian Nami, because I feel like those are the go-to combos right now.
Yeah, they are, but I just feel like Lucian's just a very strong champion in his own right. There we go. We got a Cassante lock in. That makes sense as well. Biopanther loves this champion. It's a safe blind pick. Lets them save mid potentially to last pick on red side. And yeah, in terms of Lucian pairings, I think Nami is the best one. But if they just value this Cassante, it makes sense to lock it in earlier.
Yeah, I guess it's just in a battle of the blinds as to, okay, who's really willing to reveal what their comp is about, be it a poke comp, a siege comp, a split push comp, or globals. In this case, the Corki that was hovered will in fact still be locked in, so there is our hybrid double AP setup, if you will, as a mid-jungle pairing. The Riven, a bit of a shout out there to Tien, who's very, very proficient on the champion, and we'd love to see it a little bit more, but we've not seen it in a hot minute. We saw it once from River, and it would be a cool little consideration if we did see it from him, but the Poppy is going to be coming out to play instead.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think Poppy is great against both of these champions, right? And it's a good diffusal pick. It's great with Corki. Corki just wants a nice, beefy front line, a little bit of disengage. Poppy gives you all of that. And now Bliss is in a bit of a predicament. Do you lock in Azir here, right? Which is 100% going to be banned out. Or do you lock in the Nami? Whichever you don't lock in will be banned by Ground Zero in the second ban phase. So it looks like they prioritize the bot matchup. They grab the Nami, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a double mid ban coming out from Ground Zero.
Yeah, and I suppose on the response then from Bliss, what would you imagine they go for? Even more AD carries, even more bot lane targeted bans, given that you know exactly what your pairing is and sort of what you really want to avoid going into as such. Knowing it,
I think you can
engage.
I think you can safely assume that Poppy, Maokai are going to be jungle and top respectively. I don't think it's very fun playing Poppy bot lane, Poppy support into Lucian Nami, or Maokai support into Lucian Nami against a double range lane. It's very difficult. So I'd assume that they just ban out some AD carries they don't want to play against. We'll see. So they go with a Syndra ban. I would be expecting the Azir, unless they feel like the Corki matchup, they're happy to handshake it perhaps. They feel like Corki outranges, outscales, gives you a better timing with the packages. They have the package plus the Maokai ult combo. That's very strong at objectives. So we'll see what Bliss have in mind for the second ban. Kalista gone and Caitlyn. So they've banned the sort of the all-in champion that beats Lucian and also the one that outranges him.
Yeah. And with Varus and Ashe already taken off the board as well, it feels like you've basically targeted all 4 champions that could be a bit of a menace to make Lucian's Nightmare really come into effect.
Yeah, should be a comfortable game for Violet. I mean, 4 bans, you'd expect him to play well. There we go, the Azir ban comes out. So what do you pick here for Bliss? You're playing against Corki. It doesn't feel like it's going to be a very fast-paced game with the champions that you see. A lot of scaling, a lot of frontline, a lot of low early game damage champions. So I guess you have to pick a scaling mid as well. Maybe they're locking the Yone. Yeah, I was thinking that. The Yone makes sense. A good matchup into Corki. If you land one part of your ability, you can interrupt Corki Valkyrie quite easily. Definitely a volatile matchup mid early on.
Yeah, I was going to wonder if there's ever a world in which, say, like the LeBlanc was still viable, given that you can have the sort of the double energized setup, infinite wave clear, and sort of my logic behind it being that, well, if you're strong enough in the side waves, you never actually have to group up to entertain the idea of like a Maokai Corki package ultimate combo, right? The objectives where they're going to be very, very strong, especially now with Xayah Rakan coming in together. It just says that, like, we're going to deny you running in because of the Poppy, and once you are in, you're in a lot of trouble because there's going to be so much damage that is coming out at you. So Bliss really need to find that wonderful 5th pick red side answer.
Yeah, I really like the ground zero draft here because they've locked in Poppy for disengage, they've locked in Malphite for disengage, they've locked in Xayah Rakan, again, great disengage, and they see this Yone and they're just kind of laughing at him. You know, it's a pretty difficult Yone game. On the side lane, of course, he's going to have a good time. And Bliss go with the Lilia last pick makes sense. They need an AP jungler. There's quite a bit of frontline, quite a bit of champs to stack on. But it's definitely, I'd say, requires execution, the Bliss draft. It's a lot easier to play the ground zero side.
It looks that way, doesn't it? Certainly does. 2 solo AP junglers to round out their compositions. Hybrid damage mix in the mid lane. And then, yeah, really it's all about who's going to be able to find that sort of easier way into the fight to try and get things started. I think for Ground Zero, as you quite rightly already mentioned, it's that ability to really command the space around a Dragon or a Baron pit. But as for Bliss, it just feels like if they get a pick, they just run away with things.
Yeah, and they have great chasing tools as well, right? You've got the culling, you've got multiple blinks from Yone, Rayscar, Lilia, even Cassante with the dash resets. Very easy to chase. If they start winning a fight, you can expect them to absolutely run down the opposition.
So in terms of your prediction, you went for the 1-1. I've gone for 2-0 on Bliss. Do you feel like there's a certain way this one goes based off the draft? We talk about how strong blue side is. It feels like Ground Zero probably got really everything they would have wanted on blue side.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say 1-1, then and both teams pick blue side, you got to favor the team that picks blue side. I think Ground Zero have a little bit more of a well-rounded draft, a little bit easier to execute, but in their own rights, I think the players are very good at their champions on Bliss. I think the draft's cohesive. It has mixed damage and everything. It's just the issue of enemy team has Poppy and you have a lot of dashes, and that's it's a bit of a dilemma they're going to have to overcome in the game.
Yeah, well, I guess it's going to come down to skill expression as much as it was in terms of Emilio cancelling out multiple ultimates from, say, like a Varus and what have you. The same could be said here. If the ability to knock back multiple champions is available, then that could certainly be the difference in these sort of all-in fights. Because you'd imagine certainly with a Rayscar Lilia running on in, they're going to be hot on their money to figure out, okay, do we need to charge stun this Lilia, or do I need to try and interrupt the stun evolution, dashing on through, getting resets? Lots to take into consideration here. The mid lane matchup is the one we highlighted. Hayri up against Kisei. Arguably the best mid laners in the region right now. Probably a contest would be Ryoma looking to try and add himself into the mix of things. Well, they are, I would say, the best 3 in the region right now. And as a mid laner yourself, is there anything that stands out in particular for you that makes them as qualified as they are?
Yeah, so I can actually break it down quite easily for you. I think they're all very equal in skill, but Hayri is the most reserved mid. He's consistent. He plays the percentages. He makes a mistake, he will always pay a wave for it. So he'll take a bad base, he will drop a wave, and he'll come back of full resources. He'll be able to help out his team. Whereas Kisei is the exact opposite. Kisei will greed for every wave possible. He will reset on the worst timers, and he will just outplay you with mechanics. And greed as much as possible. That's why you see in his games he's always up 20, 30, 40, 50 CS because of this playstyle. So we'll see how that helps or brings Ground Zero down in this game.
There's the question then, will opposites attract and how do they come into effect as they do in fact clash? Let's let ourselves in for the only series tonight. One single best of two at the top of the table as Ground Zero look to try and bounce back from their 2-0 defeat into Antic. As for Bliss, a 3-0 today would put them outright first. So it really is a lot on the line for us. A draw is, I'm sure, what both teams are looking to try and avoid if possible. All 3 points would be sorely desired.
Yeah, 100%. I guess one thing we should talk about is the Maokai phase rush. Great against Lilia, right? And also the Maokai W can be used to dodge any one of Lilia's abilities. So even though it's a frontline champion and you like playing Lilia against frontline, Maokai is pretty slippery when it comes to getting those passive stacks.
Yeah, can certainly be quite annoying as well with the ability to twist and advance and dodge out some skills. Nice little grand entrance there from Benvi, but it doesn't really matter because Bliss actually then turn forward, look at Limas and say, we've engaged on us, we'll return the favor back.
But that was a very nice ground entrance with a double knock-up. We saw in the games yesterday a kind of attempts to do that, and they either completely miss or hit one person. So to get a double up there, that's really well done from Benvi. They still lose the priority of the wave. I do think that Lucian Nami is a little bit stronger level 2 than Zaya Rakan, so it's to be expected. Mid lane, we've got range vs melee, Kisei doing Kisei things, pushing the wave, winning the lane. And Harry just trying to survive till he gets that level 6 and gets the kill threat onto the Corki.
And that's a great point to, I suppose, explore a little bit further, because you mentioned before that this would be a very volatile matchup. Is it literally down to levels that sort of allows Harry to have the kill pressure that sort of swings the matchup?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Corki, he doesn't really spike at level 6, right? Level 6 just gives him slightly safer farming, but Yone gets a whole new CC ability, and CC is how you get kills in the early game. Yone has 2 of those, and Corki has none. So Corki's definitely on the back foot when it comes to the 1v1 solo kill pressure.
Saw there as well. Also Tien doing a little bit of proxying very early on, pushes in the wave, goes for a roam. You can also see now going between the tier 2 and tier 3. He's really tapped into his singed magic.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, this is the Tiltarella tech, you know. Tien's been making some notes. Love that from him. He's gotten information on the Krugs as well, right? So Ground Zero should be aware that Why Not is bot side of the map. Schoenfire is here to cover any ganks. Might see something happen here, Skimmy.
We certainly might see it as the lullaby goes out. Tien's going to deny himself to that turret, and the fight will continue in the bot lane. It's going to be a 3v3. Why Not flashing forward to try and apply that passive burn onto everybody, but it's not enough to find the kill. Now the Blade Caller back from Levis won't get anything as well, so really their only trade is, well, we've burnt a heal, we've taken a flash, but it's just map revealing.
Yeah, a little bit. Schoenfire kind of walking up around the river and then walking back towards Limas is what I guess salvages the play for Bliss, because Schoenfire was in the right position, and when Lilia flashes forward like that, you know, you could just have a Maokai come out of fog, flash on you as well, and CC chain you to death. So I think Bliss got away with a bit of a jump scare there. They got a flash on Rakan, which is an important cooldown. And feeling pretty happy about that trade overall.
Yeah, no doubt. I suppose also in the same vein, Ground Zero with the protection of Schoenfire resetting a little bit later, did manage to push in a massive cannon wave. Now, a majority of that should still be available for Violet to pick up, and as a result, you shouldn't see too much change between their CS. But yeah, early initiation with both supports looking to try and land their CC to get the ball rolling, and yeah, the likes of White burning a flash to try and get their kill nice and early. Nothing to come of it, but it does mean that volatility certainly can be found, and I wonder if we might see a little bit more reservation from Tien now, having already dived between multiple towers. Back to our standard scheduling.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of reservation from Tien, but confidence from Schoenfire with a Darksteel purchase. So expecting to get some stacks on the Maokai. Starting up this camp, Maokai, great champion for doing this, has percentage health damage on his Q, and also the constant healing from the passive means that you don't really get chunked out. There's no threat of being contested. You're always sort of full resources when doing this camp. And Kisei still having mid-prior as range vs melee, actually opting to defend his Raptor camp. Why Not? No flash here. Perhaps Kisei can steal a few Raptors, but nothing else really to come.
Not for much at this stage, and with the reveal that Schoenfire was in fact doing those Void Grubs, Why Not can continue to counter jungle, realize that there's nothing here. I could go for the Krugs, but I could also look at a bot lane with a flashless Rakan. Now, knowing that Limas also has all his summoners up and available, might be considering trying to burn his flash as well, and that would be a job well done after this counter jungling does in fact finish. But He's just going to remind their bot lane that I am in the area, and you will be stuck underneath your tower.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give props to Ground Zero. I'm sure the communication came through from Shermfire saying that there could be a cross-map play on them, and they've tried to avoid trades, try to stay healthy. If their health bars were, you know, half, even 3/4, why not could have considered going for the dive, but yeah, Ground Zero conserving their resources, understanding their weak side of the map, and just playing it safe, letting Shermfire do his thing on the Void Grubs.
We have to mention the pretty poor trades happening there in the mid lane. You see Kiste incredibly low, level 6 obviously found between these two. Ult's still available there for the Yone, but it just takes, you know, the ability to stack up your Q a few times in these minions, get a little bit greedy perhaps for a certain trade, and then next minute you've just been knocked up and taken a massive chunk of damage as a result. Speaking of that damage, Violet with the last stretch of mana gets the empowerment from the Nami and says, have at it onto Limes, but just narrowly dodges out on that knockup Rakan was trying to really threaten with.
Yeah, lots of trading in the bot lane, lots of action, but really no kill threat to speak of. We do need to see the junglers getting involved in the play before we actually see some deaths. I'm expecting that once Shermfire gets his ultimate, Nami will be the prime target, right? Scott, no cleanse, and very, very squishy. So we'll see what Shermfire decides to do. Just hovering his bot lane for the pushing wave, letting them get a nice reset off, and yeah. Just resetting, contesting the crab, potentially a very slow-paced game. Both teams just happily scaling up, playing for the late game, I suppose.
Well, it seems that way, doesn't it? Which is interesting, given the fact that both these teams have the best early games. Both, on average, have been able to accrue, I want to say, anywhere between 2,500 to 3,000 gold by the 15-minute mark, which is a fair chunk, a good indication that you've played it well and that you will be snowballing. So. I suppose to see them so reserved and sort of saying, well, we show a great deal of respect to you. We don't want to be the one that makes that mistake. We want to sort of put the shoe on the other foot and say, we welcome your pressure, but, you know, don't make a mistake because we'll be ready to catch that throw.
Yeah, 100%. Both teams are showing a lot of respect to each other. Nice pink ward, definitely an unlikely one to be checked. That's a great position. If you can sneak in there before the second red buff spawns, you get a lot of information on the enemy jungle. Not sure who exactly placed that, whether it was Wynot or Scott, but whoever it was, big praise to them. And we actually see Yona getting a bit of a CS lead in mid, not something you expect in a melee versus range matchup. So I'd say Harry making Kiste work for this game.
Well, it certainly looks it, doesn't it? I mean, every single time we have popped our head into the mid lane, he's up in Kiste's business, making sure that every single trade he goes for, any single advantage with the range will not matter in their favor, because Violet right now receiving so much pressure, enough to actually force out his ultimate. The culling not enough, though, to try and even out this massive health deficit, and with Scott there forced to try and heal him up, he's got to be kind of careful, because Shermfire is in the area.
Yeah, surprised that Shermfire doesn't just chuck out his ult there. Maybe try to get a flash out of Scott. I felt like kind of a free pick of fishing for that, but I guess he's looking to hold on to it for the second spawn in the Void Grubs here in a second. But yeah, just really nice to see this level of gameplay there, right? No random flashes, no panicking. Benvi sees the calling, jumps in front of Limes, tanks up the damage. It's just very clean gameplay, very, very calm and reserved from both sides.
Yeah, methodical, right? Going through the motions of this is what needs to happen to get us to this certain point of the game. Objectives being traded, no real all-in. There's certainly been moments like the initial ganking towards the bot lane, but outside of that, they've been very much off on their own little journey. And that will grant really Shermfire safe passage back to the second spawn of these Void Grubs. It's going to be a little bit harder, though, to try and achieve, especially now that mid lane is kind of swung in favor of Bliss.
Yeah, not sure what Wynot is doing here, because Violet actually walked bot lane, and we saw Limes happily drops a wave to walk mid to guarantee this full 6 stack of Void Grubs. So Harry has no teleport. Really not sure what Bliss are looking for. They're kind of wasting time and not giving themselves an opportunity to trade on the other side. So Ground Zero with just a macro outplay, bringing more people earlier, a decisive start on the objectives to secure 6 Void Grubs.
Yeah, 6-0 is pretty devastating in that regard, right? So, as you say, it is quite common to see your opposition trade something, be it plates or a tower, or in some cases even the dragon for it. But with none of that available, they've really just gone for a bit of a mismatch on assignments with Harry going bot, their bot lane planted in mid lane, but nothing to be found in it. 2v2 is going to look to try and break out here as the cutting once again comes into effect. But even still, I mean, the HP advantage never work in their favor. BioPanther goes all out, he gets crazy, and he finally, at 11 minutes in, gives us first blood.
Yeah, I can't tell. I think Tien's flash is just coming off cooldown. It might have just been a few seconds off, but yeah, great buffer from Biopanther. Cassante has the most kill pressure on tanks out of any other champion in the game, and he shows us why. You said it before the game. You know the Colgate smile is going to carry Team Bliss to victory, and that's exactly what's going on.
Certainly did, mate. I'm sure if he heard that com right now, he'd be cracking up right now. You can see focused, locked in, ready to go in his player camera right now. Good bit of opportunity for Ground Zero to get aggressive and turn things around again. Dragon is about to spawn in, I want to say less than 30 seconds now. Sundered Sky's just being picked up by Tien. Eclipse is there for Kisei. He's just got the package too. I mean, this is as good as it gets, right, to make sure that you're back in business.
Yeah, wow, and the CS lead mid is growing tremendously. Plus 25 already, perhaps 20 after he catches this wave. But yeah, Harry, we said it's a Yeon favored matchup, but it shouldn't be plus 20 favored. So Tien, let's look at top lane. Big wave coming into him. He's down 1 level, levels up. Tries to knock Cassante to the wall, but gets reverse insect and then dragged through the wall into the river. No escape. Even if he had flash, probably nowhere to go.
It's clean. It's satisfying though, isn't it, to watch that replay and see the sort of micro outplays between two absolute weapons in that lane. Well, is Ground Zero going to be looking to try and start off this Dragon? Not going to be without a contest though from Bliss.
TP.
Out comes the TP on Vision, so Bio is here. A second TP now coming in from the opposition as Benvi goes in for the Flash Charm, locking in place 2 members. The Dragon getting lower and lower by the second. Harry coming from the south side, ready to flank. He's got that flash and he's got that ultimate, but biding his time, waiting for him to go to sleep. 1-man ultimate, night. Goodbye, Corki. So Kisei's dead. One soon to fall. Lemus gets the kill with the ultimate, but now Lemus is in trouble. Where you going? You cannot flash. It was up and available, but the wall was too far away, and Harry gets the double. They lose the Dragon, but they win the fight.
Yeah, and I think that just comes down to indecisiveness from Ground Zero again, like bouncing multiple ideas and not deciding on one thing to do. You saw Schönfire was content with taking the Dragon. He felt like it's a free Dragon. He's still hitting the Dragon. It should be Maokai ult that starts this fight. And Benvi does a solo 1-man ult onto Scott. Scott just flashes away. That's one of your main engaged tools gone. Schönfire still wants to take the Dragon, using all of his abilities on the Dragon. Kisei out of position, not sure what's going on. He's very confused right now, and at the end of this, Ground Zero scatter and try to cut their losses.
It's a bit of a tragedy when you watch it back, really, just sort of indecision that you highlight as to Jungler wanting to do one thing, securing an objective to deny that of Team Bliss's potential win condition, but then really giving them the freedom to say, you know, which carry, which champion would you like to take off the menu today? Oh, an isolated Corki? Have at it.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing we can look at as well is that's all 5 flashes and ghosts burned from Team Bliss, whereas Ground Zero still have all their cooldowns. So perhaps the next fight could be favorable for them. Using that summoner advantage, the Rift Trail is coming up. Wouldn't be surprised if they decide to contest it, but seem to be a little bit flustered after that lost fight. Schönfire pathing down, not interested in starting this Rift. And we see the side lane matchup getting worse and worse for Corki. We said it, no CC on Corki. What do you do when Yeon presses E and just sprints in your face?
Yes, getting to a pretty rough stage now. You mentioned a CS lead in the laning phase once level 6 came into effect. Now up by 22 kills, the only bounty in the game with that Blade of the Rune King tier 2 boots. You know, big power spike. It feels a little bit rough to try and do battle with him. I imagine at this stage you need to send not just a jungler, but probably somebody else, even a support, to get involved to really lock that Yone down. I suppose, taking into consideration, the Herald is up and available. How would you like to see Ground Zero play this one? They've got 6 stacks of the Void Grubs, so would it be a case of giving Kisei the freedom just to pump some damage into some towers?
I guess so. If they wanted to contest the Rift Trail, then the Schönfire should have started at the Krugs camp, right, and pathed up and been on Gromp right now, being in that area. But because he started top down, they only really have one option, and that's to try and hopefully get Yeon's bounty. But like you mentioned, Skimmy, I think they need 3 people. I think two's not going to do it. I think Harry will just kill them both. He has so much damage. He has sustain. Obviously, the W shield is massive at this stage of the game if he hits multiple champions. And yeah, it looks like nothing available for Ground Zero. Schönfire resetting to go back to the top side, so we might see a little bit of action around this Rift Herald, but these flash timers, Skimmy, they're coming off cooldown. It's been, what, 3-4 minutes, and they're almost back up.
Yeah, you're certainly right. And it would be Bliss that'd be quite happy to play it at this tempo, waiting for those flashes and all important members, right? You need it in your jungle, you need it for your mid, as well as your AD carry. instead for Ground Zero that do have that available in all those positions, you'd say surely they should be the ones to start things up and say we've got a time to play around. Let's see what we can try and get accomplished with it. So we'll have to wait and see if that is to be what goes on through, because the Andrews is there for why not now. I'd imagine that he's pretty keen to also get himself stuck in.
Yeah, and we see the support item bought on Lucian. I'm not sure when he bought it. I actually missed it, but it is 16 minutes and it's not upgraded yet. It's still the base version of the item, so I'd be curious to see kind of where his stacks are at this point in the game. And yeah, Harry just isn't phased. He knows the Maokai's behind him, but he just doesn't believe that they can dive him, and I can't blame him.
No.
I think that this is just an easy 1v2.
All about looking to try and trim that wave before you go in for a potential fight. Potentially to lose Void Mice, adding a few extra tower shots to sort of relieve aggro on those champions before it comes onto them. But ultimately, nothing to really worry about. They poked their head into the lane. Harry said, "You're not killing me, so why not say, well, I'll just pick up the Herald for free then." So I think as far as Bliss are concerned, 16 minutes in, whilst it has been a pretty quiet game as far as it goes for both of these teams, to be up by 2k gold, it's really business as usual.
Yeah, and if you just think about the lanes right now for Ground Zero on mid-wave, you've always got that threat of the Lucian dashing onto the Xayah and just forcing out the ult immediately to avoid dying. And once he gets the Bloodstone completed, it's going to be even harder to maintain mid-prio for Ground Zero. And then the side lane's losing as well in the 1v1. The Kisei can't really make progress. Panther also holding his own. So at this point, Ground Zero's plan has to be set up an objective and get a 5v5 fight, because all of our lanes are slowly losing in the individual matchups.
And I think it'd also be quite fascinating if we were to check in with overall goal by, say, 25 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes from now, and see where the differences between, say, Violet and Limus, because with the double support item once again coming into effect, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. So timer is really on now for Ground Zero to figure out what is our next move. Dragon number 3 is up. It's an Ocean Soul that these teams are fighting for. It's going to be Schoenfire flashing away, which is not really what you want when a dragon is on your doorstep. So with that in mind, 4v5, what do they decide to do?
Yeah, that's a Maokai. That's a Maokai, tank Maokai jungle who just showed up mid to try and help the boys get mid prior and lost his flash for it. Here we go, Skimmy. Package online.
Got it again. Hopefully this time Kiss can find the positioning that would favor him as a result. They're going to play around all those Void Grub stacks. This instead say you go for the Dragon. We'll get that tower. Would they even consider a second? They've still got that package. They could certainly cut off an angle to make sure Bliss would have a harder time running back to try and defend. But look, they show a great deal of respect and sort of just say, yeah, welcome back into mid.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that Kisei doesn't pull the trigger there, because he still has the flash available. He goes on Harry.
He does go on Harry to go for that 1v1, but Tien rocks up. Tien is also going to be bolstered by Bio, who rocks up. So there is the shutdown. That's what Kisei needed, the flash that found success. But he's now got to get himself out. First of all, go underneath this tower. Take one, take two.
Oh my
He's
god.
run the numbers. Give me an HP check. He had 15.
Skimmy, I'll be honest, I don't think he ran the numbers. I think he was taking a big chance there. Limus
has found Violet though as well, and this is massive, massive in the context here for Ground Zero, because what, down 2k gold, and it's brought it right back.
Yeah, look at the sums as well. So that was a 1v3 from Limus. He kills the Lucian, goes 1 for 1, and gets the flash from the 80 carry off Team Bliss. So a really worthwhile trade. It does look like the mid tower will drop for Ground Zero, but I think they're very happy with the outcome.
Certainly should be. Yes, it's put the pressure back onto Bliss, but it's not going to be as easy as you may have envisioned. They're going to utilize some of that TP pressure to, once again, just put damage into these turrets. Why not? The plates are gone, obviously, but that ramping true dot damage is always going to be there throughout the game. It's allowed us to have base races and base rushes. In this case, it might be their ticket back in to make sure that the gold lead is always within touching distance. Let's see what Harry can once again get accomplished. It's really going to be a case of dashing in whenever the Soul Unbound's available and forcing out the Valkyrie as a response.
Yeah, Schoenfire going for the scuttle here. That should be a nice free take, setting up top side of the map, and yeah, we saw this Poppy pick working wonders in bot lane against the Yearn. He flashed in. Here we go, we'll have a look at it right now. So Kisei, last seconds of his package remaining, pulls the trigger on Harry, out of position for the mid of Team Bliss, and Benvi a little bit late on the ultimate, but that's that flash W from Poppy that stops Harry from getting out, and the immediate ult to Biopanther, because that could have been really bad. That could have been a Biopanther ult on someone. Limus, what's going on here, mate? He is very... Violet is just as surprised as I am. Why is there a random Xayah in my jungle in a bush on a pink ward? And they ended up trading 1 for 1.
He did as much as he
Another
could
fight.
there, but it wasn't to work out in their favor. BenV with the knockup once again, looking at Violet, no flash, but he does have the cleanse, holds it for the meantime, out with the culling, looking to try and get that kill onto BenV, but can't find it. Changes his attention on towards Tien. The flash forward from Why Not as he swirls the mace around and gets that kill. A tower's also being destroyed. That was a 4v5 as Harry is split pushing top lane, but are going to continue in the mid lane. It is going to be that 4v4 now as that mid tier 1 holds on for dear life.
Yeah, a bit of a late ult from Shenfire goes completely wide, and like you said, Skimmy, down a player, still losing the fight. That's not what you like to see if you're a Ground Zero fan, and the Rift Herald coming in as well, not stopping on the tempo play here from Team Bliss. They want to get another charge, perhaps prolong this fight while they still have a player lead.
Yeah, it's a case of if you've got some Void Mites, we do as well. We'll take that tier 1, we'll guarantee the charge into the tier 2, we'll open up this map just a fraction more to make sure that if your concern was that last week you weren't attending to the side lanes as well as you should have, you've identified that, but actually, have you improved on that? Because that's what we're targeting in this game.
Oh wow, Ground Zero was the one that pulled the trigger here, so it's Tien teleporting in, I guess a solo ult onto Cassante, not the target you want, and then BenV kind of, I think, gets interrupted by Cassante W or Cassante, some Cassante ability stuns him, and yeah, the engager's just botched, wrong person, wrong time, 4v5. Lots of resources burnt, and one player dead for Ground Zero.
Yeah, it's really backfired because it looks good in theory, given that Tien had TP advantage over Harry that was pushing that top lane. You're thinking 4v5, let's make it happen. We had the numbers advantage, but then, yeah, as you say, wrong target selection, no ability to get the kill, and sort of, yeah, the turnaround from Bliss with always the running concern of a Lilia, able to try and slow you down and put you to sleep. Next dragon, it's up. Shenfire is in trouble again. And he's supposed to burn an ultimate, but he's going to get put to sleep. He can't flash, he's in trouble, bonked on the head, and taken out for his first off the game.
Yeah, Why Not is just so strong, Skimmy. 2 full items completed, 6 stacks on the Dark Seal, 300 gold bounty, and Shern's got no magic resist. He's got tabbies, he's got a Balmy Cinder and a Frozen Heart, so Why Not still laughing all the way to the bank with his itemization.
He certainly is. I mean, this entire team of Ground Zero is itemized to try and deny the amount of damage that both Harry and Violet can pump on out, but they're forgetting that Why Not is that solo AP and is essentially doing true damage with 2 items complete, like you highlight. Baron has been started, it's down to 40%, the TP, is it too little too late? Kisei turns in and says, do I have enough damage? Even without the package, we're going to go in, we're going to try and make it happen. The Poppy knockback first.
The Baron!
They have the Baron. There is no Why Not. There is no Smite. They've been outplayed.
Oh my god!
It's going to get picked up by Poppy of all people. Can you believe it? Forget Smite. It's overrated. Biopentha running for the hills. That shield, it's just not big enough. And Harry tries to snipe somebody from afar, but they've been taken to the cleaners.
Wow. Chef's kiss from me for that Poppy ultimate. I mean, just game winning. Knocks out the Lilia, who obviously is the smite to secure the Baron, but also has the most gold in the game, the most scary member from Team Bliss, completely knocked out of the fight, and the rest of Bliss just had no way out. They had to take the fight 4v4, and with all that gold missing, it just wasn't meant to be.
Certainly wasn't meant to be, but a phenomenal play, a phenomenal turnaround to identify that potential there from Ground Zero. And for the first time in this game, they're actually going to take the gold lead as a result. So all 5 members have the Baron buff present. The Dragon is there. 2 apiece is most likely the outcome. And it is definitely keeping us on our toes as to, well, what does this game look like in the late game? Where is this game headed? Because I feel like the damage profile should be fairly mixed between both these teams. It shouldn't really be a concern about scaling as much.
Yeah, you got to question this Yone build a little bit. He does have Wit's End, which makes sense, into Corki, sure. But the problem is, whenever he ults in these team fights, there's the random Xayah Feather pullback that could happen, and at the moment he's got no health stats, no armor. If he gets hit by those feathers flying backwards, he's just dead. It's a one-shot. So, yeah, this build is really relying on Harry making progress on side lane, and if they find themselves in a 5v5, it's going to be very difficult for that Yone to play.
What would you like to see come out from the Yone third? Would it be like a Sterix, perhaps like a
It has to be a shield bow, right?
A shield bow?
It has to be a shield bow, yeah. But might not be enough at this stage of the game. So Ground Zero getting 3 towers, 2 bot, 1 mid, and Tien already already running top lane to make progress on that top tier 2. Lots of gold, just lots of standing gold taken off the map for Ground Zero. We saw them being behind 2,000 gold or so, and now they're up 2k, so it's a 4k gold bound power play. We'll see it again. Why not really focused on the Baron? It's 6k, they're thinking no smite, finish the Baron, but Scott is just out of position a little bit. Should have maybe gone in the pit. There was no way out, no retreat. And as soon as Lilia gets knocked out, the front line's just not standing in front of Violet, right? Violet has to retreat, Panther's by himself, and that's a bunch of kills, a Baron, and so many towers going the way of Ground Zero.
It certainly is. And a Poppy that's finding value. Very easily identified in the draft, right, with the amount of dashes and mobility that Bliss had, but then to find success in the Baron pit, to swing the game around as much as they've done. Doesn't really matter if you look at the KD and say, well, this Poppy's 1 and 3. They've found their impact, and they've made sure that not only are Bliss behind, but their entire team is winning as a result of them. So, yeah, it's definitely a case now as to, you know, has the Zarya Rakan hit a point where they're just a little bit stronger now than out of this double support itemization bot lane for Bliss.
Yes, if somebody knows it, feel free to add me on Twitter, but what is the point of these multiple frozen hearts? We've seen this like a few games in the LCO now where the top and the jungle build frozen heart. I understand it's a gold deficient item, but it's gold deficient because of the passive, right? And you're only getting one passive at a team fight. Both Maokai and Poppy are going to be standing in the middle of everyone, right? So it's a little bit peculiar to me that they've paid double value for one passive, but look, they're winning Skimmy, so I'm not going to doubt them.
Maybe.
We'll
okay,
see how
hear my theory. Perhaps they've got this understanding that, like, if one of us dies, there's still value.
Oh, true.
Maybe they are expecting that one of them will fall on down. Somebody has to play the Blood God tax.
That is true. Yeah, okay. I get that. I get that. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense, Skimmy. And yeah, we've busted the myth. Ground Zero, setting up for top tower, top tier 2. This is a very difficult tower to defend against Maokai because that ult is just basically undodgeable from this position. So wouldn't be surprised to see Bliss give it up. They've got a consolation price in the bot lane. The TP coming up from... They're fighting.
They are certainly fighting, and Bayo's trying to go for the TP, going to delay it a little bit further, as he's going to eventually rock up. Just a basic recall back to base.
Wait, so that was double TP committed from Team Bliss. Harry ended up teleporting in, but the tower died before Biopanther, who's complete his. So that's why they cancelled the play. It looked very good for Bliss. I was surprised they're not going forward there, but it's actually very smart from Ground Zero to focus up on the tower. They were tanking a lot of skill shots, tanking up a lot of damage, but they knew if they cancel the Exotic Teleport, is a big part of the Bliss comp. Bliss is not going to pull the trigger. Yeah,
and ultimately it was just sort of stun locked in bot lane thinking, why am I still here? Why am I not in this team fight that I've expected to really be a part of? So it's definitely kept him scratching his head. But I think you're noticing more and more that it is Team Bliss looking to try and play this 1-4 split, trying to draw Ground Zero away. But this thing's strong as this 5-man unit. They know how strong they are. They're just like, well, we have all this sieging potential. We don't actually have to worry about split pushing. We just group up, we zone you away with the Maokai ult, with the rockets from the Corki. And what are you going to really do?
Well, Bliss have no choice now, Skimmy. They have no teleports left, but Kisei still has his. But opting to stay with the team, thinking that if he teleports, it might just be a little bit too late. He won't have the impact he needs. Ground Zero playing mid, posturing mid for the mid prio. We'll see what Bliss decides to do. Tian going very aggressive.
Tian is definitely going very aggressive. Has he gone in a little bit too early? Is what you have to ask yourself, as he's gone for the one-man ult, knocked back onto Yone, but he just swings back in, flashes instantly, twisted advance onto Biofan. That's not the target that you really want to go for, as the wave goes out from Nami. Scott has locked them in a chokehold right now. The knockback, the drag back. Biofan for tanking up like an absolute titan. He's got the blade dance. He's mashing them all on down. He's just locked them in his sights. He's saying, team, stand with me. Let's press on forward as why not? Burns them on the sidelines. And I think they've realized we haven't poked them enough. We're just losing this all in.
Yeah, and one thing we also have to look at, Skimmy, is the Seeker's arm guard coming out for why not. He's always able to go for that flash forward into the multi-man sleep, and Bliss doing the Baron, but Ground Zero getting closer.
And there's no Poppy ultimate this time, there's no potential steal away, but this Baron's getting low. And the same for the HP bars as well. Zonia's comes out, spaces for a second, they rip back the Fivers, but it's too early by Limes. Favana dashes in, but gets stunned against the wall by Tien. This Poppy is finding value like you would not believe. Meanwhile, the Baron, like an MC in the back corner, is just spitting void on everybody, and they limp away, 3 members strong to get the ace.
Wow, a 5v4 fight, and Ground Zero walk away with 5 kills and 1 death. That's impressive. I'm not sure how they pull that off. We'll have to look. Obviously, the Corki poke coming in, and this Poppy pick is value. So we'll see the initial stage of this fight. So Tian, this ult away on the Yone when he's in his E, that seems completely pointless. It doesn't really do anything. He just comes back into the fight anyway. Now one of your main cooldowns is gone. And again, Ground Zero just hitting Cassante. Benvi tries to find Harry, he's got no cooldowns left, but he's too far away, and why not with his beautiful 3-man flash sleep, still has the stopwatch available if he got into any trouble. And it's just unfortunate that the Yonol only hit the Rakan because multiple people were slept that he had the option to go for one of the carries. And Team Bliss feel confident to start this Baron. They don't have a mid-wave. They could have been a little bit more patient here, pushed the mid-wave first, gotten better positions, perhaps denied the vision, but Ground Zero, they have so many wards, they go back in. This Poppy W, you just can't play the game into it, Skimmy. It's stopping every single dash. And back to live, more fighting.
Back to another Baron, back to another occasion, and this one will be secured by Schoenfire. Package burnt, nice one there by Kisse. It's the case now of can Ground Zero disengage away with this all-important buff? And the answer is a resounding yes. Second time they managed to keep all of their lives intact, and a second time for them to showcase just how good they are. 2k lead now becomes 6, and I'll tell you what, Ground Zero looking like late game is now their best friend.
What is doing the damage to Baron there, Skimmy? Because it was at 5k and then it was at 0. It just disappeared instantly. You've got the 2 damage threats on Kisse and Lemus. Of course, I guess it's the Maokai Q doing a bit more damage. But yeah, the Ground Zero Baron is just incredibly fast, and they're also very beefy. They take no damage from it. So a commanding position for Team Ground Zero.
It certainly is. You're a little bit scared when you hit the tab check now and realize it's a 3-1 Corki, a 6-2 Zaya. There's nearly 2k gold of shutdowns available if you can take those members down, but easier said than done. It's been such a uphill battle for them to try and achieve, and I mean, you talk about item differences, a full item that Lemus has over Violet. Yes, the Blood Song is there for him on the Lucian, and he'll be hoping that this game goes even longer for that passive gold generation to come into effect, but right now, I think Ground Zero say we're strong, we've got double Barons, we're set up to siege, you can't defend, and we have 6 stacks to siege with.
Yeah, I mean, this is the dream scenario for any Corki lineup, right? You've got Corki, Zaya in a siege. Who do you engage on? Corki dashes backwards, Zaya ults. It's very hard, but Benvi is a perfect target.
Yeah, Benvi's got to be really careful right now because the team is so strong. You saw one Corki rocket, and that already took them down to half. I mean, right now, what does Why Not do?
Oh my god! That was crazy. Crazy damage, Skimmy. A little bit illegal, and this tower might be going down because that Why Not threat of the sleep is the main defense tool for Team Bliss. There's really nothing else they can throw out. The Lucian culling doesn't go through the minions. The Yone build is just too poor to engage as the first man in. And Ground Zero just going to get a comfortable inhibitor here, looks like.
It certainly looks to be that way, and I think you'd imagine Bliss will just give this one across the three, because it seems to me that Why Not and Harry are both waiting for their flash to come out available. It's up to about 5 seconds. One man ult, they ban it. Kisse is gone, but it will be that 1-for-1 as Lemus is the one to answer back and make sure that they can still press forward. Charm goes out, in goes Bio, but down he falls double for the Zaya. And Why Not with his flash now up and available is forced to back away. He swings one more time. He leeches up as much as he can with the Riftmaker. The feathers go up, the flash goes in, he goes golden, and he says, team, back me up because I am dead.
So close, Timmy. This fight is so close.
This really
Here
is a sketchy game. As the Nature's Advance happens, another double, a case for Lemus to try and get the complete ace again, and they will secure it. And with 3 members alive, with the respawn time is far too high, there will in fact not be a perfect 2-0. It will be Ground Zero saying, we're back to winning ways, and keep your eyes on us.
Yeah, now everybody knows why Lemus's Twitch channel is called King Lemus, because that was a royalty performance from him, 10-2. Sneaking into the enemy jungle, getting 1-for-1s in the middle of the enemy team. I mean, it was a crazy game all around from Ground Zero. Not the cleanest. We saw that problem with the voices, a lot of mixed opinions about what should be done, but it didn't stop them from getting the win here, Skimmy.
It certainly didn't. It wasn't the cleanest, but it didn't need to be. KDA sort of went out the window, apart from if you say Kisse and Lemus hitting, what, 10-2 on that Zaya. Phenomenal game for him to open up their accounts in game 1, and we'll see if they can get all 3 points right after the short break.